edition of the Urban Debate, viewers. We are in the middle of a series of announcements that are taking place. These announcements form part of the mega stimulus package and additional measures that the government is taking to help the country and its economy in these times. And they've become a big conversation point, right from the industry, the manufacturers, India Inc., to the farmers, migrants, the middle class, the working class. There is something that the government intends to do for almost every segment. But there are those who are questioning also the end result of these announcements. Before we go on to that debate, and I've got some big faces and special guests lined up on the show tonight, let me take you through broadly the 10 big announcements that have come so far. It's been 3 days of announcements, and this is what has come so far. Roughly about 3.7 lakh crore of package as far as the MSMEs are concerned. That's what got announced on day one. This includes, apart from this, there was 30,000 crore that the government announced for the NBFCs, that's the non-banking financial companies, and also a 90,000 crore relief for the DISCOMs, the power distribution companies, which is expected to be passed on as a benefit even to the consumers. Outside of that, the government on day two said that they are going to supply free ration for about 8 crore migrants as well, at least for the next 2 months, that the universal ration card plan should be completely finished and implemented for everybody by 2021. Then the government also went on to announce interest relief for Mudra Shishu loans, 5,000 crore loan facility for the street vendors, and a home loan scheme for affordable housing that is largely for the lower middle income class segment. Then came the turn of the farmers. First up, the government said additional 30,000 crore fund will be available for borrowing as far as the small and marginal farmers are concerned. And today came the big announcements, a 1 lakh crore fund for agriculture infrastructure, and big changes in law, structural reforms as far as the Essential Commodities Act and the APMC Act is concerned. Government is proposing a new law, and all of this will hopefully enable the farmers to find better pricing for their produce and help them sell better and on time. That being said, there are still many questions that are being raised of how much of this is actually rehashed and already existed, how much of this will be implemented immediately or will provide any relief immediately, or is actually a long-term plan, and how much of it directly addresses the problem at hand. So without wasting any more time, I want to say good evening to our first two set of guests who are joining us right now. Mr. Prithviraj Chavan, member of the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly, Maharashtra Minister, former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, with us this evening, and Mr. D. Raja, General Secretary of the Communist Party of India, also with us. Good evening, gentlemen, to both of you. Mr. Chavan, let's begin with you, and let's begin with the announcements that have come in today in the farm sector. Some of them were much awaited structural reforms. Do you believe that this will at least bring in some kind of relief for the agricultural sector?
Tanvi, when Prime Minister announced the package of 20 lakh crores, I had welcomed, because I had demanded that country must spend 10% of the GDP, pay back in early April. We mentioned a figure of 21 lakh crores, which works out to 10% of India's current GDP.
When Prime Minister said 20 lakh crores, I was very happy. I welcome. But the three announcements by the Finance Minister are completely disappointing. The simple term is lending and spending. How much of it is going to be spending immediately in the hands of the people, the pockets of the people? Small-scale industries, large industries are lost for 3 months hugely. How do they recoup those losses? By borrowing. The migrant workers are seen under the plight is being seen by everybody. Now, they need succor, they need money in their hands. You are giving them promises, you're giving them loans, you're telling them to plant medicinal herbs. I mean, the whole point is the entire package, whatever has been announced so far, how much of it will directly be spent by the government and how much of it is a promise of a loan. Nobody can borrow now. They are locked heavily. Last 3 months and maybe another 3 months more. There is no income. The clock is ticking. interest has to be paid, installments have to be paid, workers have to be given salaries, electricity bill, water bill. The clock is ticking. No income. Expenditure clock is on. Now, you need to give money to people like United States. $850 billion package only to industry to pay salaries of the employees. Why couldn't Prime Minister think out of the box? When he said 20 lakh crores, we thought this money will be spent. Like they say in America, spending versus lending. What banks give is lending. What the government gives on the budget is spending. Please tell us how much of 20 lakh crores will be spent immediately. How much of it is a promise of a loan? Now, who's going to take loan? How can you repay the loan when you've got a 3 or 4 months of huge losses in your enterprise? I expect a migrant worker to take loan and repay. You expect an individual entrepreneur, one-man show to take loan and recouping losses. Question is about how do you recoup the losses which are occurred over the last 3 months and likely to occur more. Please tell us that industry can stand on its own feet. You are telling them to borrow and recoup your losses. That is, these sums don't work out. And I'm very surprised that the industry captains are quiet. They're very disappointed with the package, but they dare not say anything about it. And I think now they will have to suffer. We expected that money will be spent right away. It is not being spent. Only promises. Please tell us how much is going to be spent directly to give relief to migrant workers, to give relief to agriculturists, landless labor, small-scale industrialists, large industrialists. You have just told me what has happened to exports and imports. Even though oil prices are low, you dare not pass on the benefits to common man because government revenues are completely destroyed. State governments are begging you to give money. You're not giving them money. You're not paying them the dues. GST dues are not being paid. The central share, the share of the central tax are not being paid. The economy is completely collapsed in the hands of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Nirmala Sitharaman. That's what we've been agitating about.
Mr. Chavan, if I had to ask you then this question, I agree. I take it the point that you're making that giving more loans perhaps is not the solution to the problem which is at hand right now, especially for the migrants, for the farmers who are really in a bad state. What should have been done? How do you provide this immediate relief? In what sense?
See, you have to put money in the pockets of the people. Take small industries. They have lost hugely in the last 3 months and likely to lose more in the next 3 months. So you let them pay salary to the employees, so the employees are retained. Give them money to pay salaries. They can't pay salaries. Where will they pay salaries? If they borrow, how will they pay what the loans that they take?
I mean, you can't recover your losses by borrowing. The government has to understand, is American government or the President Trump or the entire Senate stupid? Why are they paying so much money to small industries, small businesses? Because you have to put the money in the hands of the small businesses, so they pay the salaries of the employees and they retain the loyalty of the employees. How are you going to create jobs? People are losing jobs. People who are not able to pay back their installments. And you are saying, no, we'll postpone your installments for 3 months. Banks are already calling up. Every single bank, the private bank is calling up. And if you don't pay installment, penalty charges are being levied. There is total confusion in the government. You have to spend money now. Don't promise them for future loans that we give loans. These are all promises. How much money can you put in the pockets of the people? Migrant people want money today. They're not being paid for 3 months. Small industries wants money today to pay the salaries and electricity bills and rents of the premises. They want money today. You're not giving them. You're giving them a promise. Borrow. And how can you borrow? You fill hundreds of forms. And you say, no, you're not done this, you're not done that. Please give money directly to people who have suffered. The farmers, the landless agricultural labor, small industrialists, the one-man shops, small businesses. You're not giving them. And that's why we are saying that there is no hope. from this government.
Okay, I request you to stay on. Let me also bring in Mr. D. Raja on this conversation. Mr. D. Raja, do you agree that right now the problem is people have lost their jobs? People don't have money for food. People don't have a place to stay. Hundreds and thousands of them are walking on the streets trying to get home, dying on the way. And the solution to that and the immediate relief that half of our country needs right now hasn't come so far.
Firstly, the Prime Minister, while addressing the nation, announced a package of 20 lakh crores. But one finance minister of a state has calculated after the finance minister gave some figures and pointed out it is not 10% as the government claims, it is just 2%. We should keep in mind. Having said that, I must point out the Prime Minister and Finance Minister are using this movement to propagate, to justify their government's economic policies and programs which they are pursuing for the past 6 years. These policies are disastrous, which brought Indian economy to shambles. And before COVID-19 attacked India, our economy was sick and sinking. Now COVID-19 has added to this crisis. But this government has failed to address the immediate urgent issues. As you rightly pointed out, thousands of migrant laborers are walking on the roads, thousands of kilometers, and they are dying on the roads, they are dying on railway tracks, they have no food, they have no water, they have no any shelter, and this is what is happening. And hunger deaths are being reported, and India is one country which has already which has got large number of starving people in the world. Now this has added to it, and the people who compare the corona deaths to the number of hunger deaths, and how can you stop this hunger? How can you provide some relief to the migrant laborers, daily wage earners, and the poor people? And government has no answer. Government is so insensitive. Government is treating them in such a inhuman way. And I can say they are using the pandemic in order to launch an attack on the organized, unorganized working people. Otherwise, why they're talking about diluting all labor laws? What is happening in Uttar Pradesh? What is happening in Madhya Pradesh?
Yes.
How can they think of diluting the labor laws? Labor laws were given on a platter to the working people. They are all hard-won working class rights, trade union rights. Now, today also the finance minister spoke on agriculture. All are reforms and reforms for the future. What about the present? That's what we are asking. What are you going to do to stop this?
Okay, so Mr. Raja, but the government has also said, Mr. Raja, that they have pushed up the Manrega scheme. They are arranging for jobs via Manrega. They have increased the minimum wages under the Manrega scheme. In fact, the finance minister quoted data saying that 40 to 50% enrollment has gone up for the month of May versus last year, though I think that should be extremely concerning for the entire country as so many more people are enrolling for this scheme. But they are saying that as far as the migrants are concerned, they will also be included in this, and some amount of employment will be provided. Free ration is being provided. So why are you not satisfied with that?
It is really a cruel, callous joke. I know my good friend Prithviraj Chavan is there. He knows how the government functions, how the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act was passed by Parliament. Now, after BJP came to power, they added the name Mahatma Gandhi. So it is called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, guarantee schemes. My point is, why that act was brought? Firstly, people should understand it was brought to provide some kind of livelihood to the rural poor and also to stop the migration of rural poor to urban centers. Now, those who migrated, they are compelled, forced to go back to villages. Where are the jobs? I want to ask this government. And what is the daily wage they want to increase from 100 plus to 202? What is this? How do we deal with our citizens? After all, they are our citizens. Even in America, during Great Depression period, Roosevelt acknowledged that economic rights are basic human rights. That is why people should have purchasing power. He acknowledged that fact. Where is the purchasing power in the hands of the people? Where is money in the hands of the people? And this Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Scheme, which you are talking about, they are giving jobs, they are giving, these are all, I do not know what I should say. It's all deceit. And I am asking, what about urban unemployment? Government has no responsibility for those who are jobless. And because of this lockdown, all MSME enterprises have been closed and several industries remain closed and millions of people lost jobs and even the government itself is cutting down salaries of employees. How the working people, Mr. Modi talks about economy is one of the pillars. What is economy? If the working people are not protected, it is working people who create wealth in this country. It is working people who, in fact, build the economy. And you are letting down the working people. What we are asking.
Well, I think you both of you have made some valid points, Mr. Chauhan, Mr. Raja. Thank you so much. The fact of the matter is that this is an unprecedented situation. We were already in the middle of a massive slowdown as far as the economy was concerned, and there were huge concerns about jobs, and this is just added to it. So I think what is needed is a more constructive conversation about what needs to be done and if the steps that the government is announcing right now are actually going to trickle down to any kind of benefit on ground. Thank you, Mr. Chauhan and Mr. D. Raja. Appreciate you taking the time out and speaking to us. Viewers, this is one part of it, and this is what the opposition is actually saying right now, that the steps that the central government is announcing is more about, lending options, more about giving additional loans and various kinds of loans, or actually implementing the schemes that are already been announced, or fast forwarding some of the structural reforms that will anyway just take a long time to be implemented. But where is the immediate relief? Now, if you ask the government that, they say, well, we've provided for free food, free ration that is being provided, not just to the poor people, which was announced in March end itself, but now also to additional 8 crore migrants. Then there is also cash benefits that are being transferred into the bank accounts, into the Jan Dhan accounts of the people. This is also something that was announced earlier. Over and above this, now we are looking at these additional schemes. Let's now also say good evening to Member of Parliament and Senior Congress Member Mr. Manish Tiwari joining us right now. So Mr. Tiwari, fact of the matter is that the government is saying we've made some announcements in the last 2 months. There is money directly going in the bank accounts of people. We are giving them additional ration. We are now stepping up on Manrega, improving on the minimum wages and providing them facility for additional loan for whatever it is that they want to do. Why is it that the opposition seems to be still unhappy?
But good evening. Thank you for having me on Mirror Now. This is the first time that I'm on your channel, and I hope the channel's been doing well over all these years. I heard the lengthy introduction that you gave, ma'am. The short question is, where is the money? On the 22nd of March, the last day that Parliament functioned, Parliament approved a budget of 30,42,000 crores, out of which the revenue receipts to the government are to the tune of something like 23 lakh crores. There is a fiscal deficit of 7 lakh crores. So therefore, this 20 lakh crores, which the finance minister is announcing and which has been critiqued extenso by my colleague D. Raja, it begs the question, where is the money coming from? How is the finance minister going to finance this 20 lakh crore stimulus or whatever she's calling it? How does she intend financing it?
Fair enough. That's a
Can you
question
hear?
we've also asked Mr. Manish Tiwari, but we are being told wait for all the announcements to get done and then this question will be answered. Where is the money coming from? In fact, right now there is also a bit of a disagreement going on over the math of it. How much of this is what was already budgeted in what was announced in February? How much of it is additional? How much of it is actually stimulus or pending payments? And some of it obviously is also the liquidity measures that have already come in by the Reserve Bank of India and more that they will take. That being said, if we keep the math aside, Mr. Manish Tiwari, the problem at hand is how to ensure that we save some jobs and people right now have money to eat food and shelter. Now, in that sense, do you not believe that what's being done by the government is enough?
Well, as we currently speak, you have the worst man-made humanitarian disaster after the 1947 partition exodus, or the exodus from East Pakistan, when the West Pakistani army started committing atrocities in 1971, in the March of 1971, play itself out in India. Millions of people are walking, trying to get home. If you go by the finance minister's own account, there are 8 crore internal migrants in India. Actually, the figure is much higher. The census figure of 2011 is 11 crore migrants. Between 2011 and 2020, it must have gone up substantially. The finance minister herself said, we have facilitated through the Shramik specials the transport of 10 lakh migrant workers. If I was to discount 50%, that out of the 8 crore migrant workers, though there are 11 crores or more, 4 crores decided to stay back and only 4 crores are trying to get home. Then what about the other 3 crore 90 lakh people? What is the government doing for them? Why is the public transport of the state governments not being utilized to transport them? Why are they being compelled to walk? Should not that be the first priority of the government, that you try and get them home safely? And then what you are telling them is that, oh, if you are lucky, if God is with you, if nature is with you, and you do manage to get home safe, we will give you 5 kilo of atta. If you don't like wheat, we'll give you 5 kilos of rice and 1 kilo of chickpeas. And that 3,500 crore package per migrant translates into 7 rupees and 20 paisa per day. Is this a survival package or a joke? What is this government doing? This country at this point in time, for the 13 crore families which are at the bottom of the pyramid, requires a survival package. The revival package is also misconceived. You have a demand, you have a 3-pronged problem in this country. Even if you look at the MSME package, you have a problem whereby the MSMEs are cash strapped, that they cannot commence operations. The second problem is that there's been an exodus of labor. And the third problem is that there is a demand collapse. So a mere liquidity lifeline, which most MSMEs may not avail even, is not going to work till the time you do not put cash directly into the hands of people and actually stimulate demand. And as long as COVID-19 is around, government is pretending that COVID-19 is over. We have crossed the number of cases that China had throughout its pandemic today, and the worst may be yet to come. So therefore, in a situation of uncertainty, do you think anybody is going to spend on anything but essentials? So therefore, where is the demand? You know, that's what we've been asking, that what is the cash component of this so-called loan villa, you know, which you have put out in installments over the past 3 days and made a complete spectacle of yourself.
So, Mr. Tiwari, I was actually going to come to the point of consumption and creating that demand. And you're absolutely right. There is very little benefit that comes out of giving loan and working capital facility to MSMEs if there are no buyers. If the shops aren't open and people don't have money to buy, what is it that the MSMEs are going to manufacture? And so I get the point that you're making. But the other side would argue that it's not as if the government's coffers are overflowing with money. They don't have the money. They don't have money to start spending it and giving it as cash to the to the people of this country. Unlike some of the Western countries, their economies are strong enough. They have the money for that kind of a social welfare scheme. We don't.
Which is precisely the problem. You've mismanaged the economy 5 years running. And so, therefore, as you yourself were pointing out, we were already in a massive slowdown. The Indian economy was budgeted to grow at 4.6% of a GDP growth rate. If you dehorse the statistical bump up, which a change of the base year gives you from 2004-5 to 2010-11, the Indian economy was actually clocking just about 2.6%. And so, therefore, you have this grandstanding. Let me take you back to 2008, when the great economic meltdown took place and financial institutions and banks were collapsing like dominoes. Why were we able to insulate India? Because for 3 years running, 2004-5, 2005-6, 2006-7, 2007-8, in fact, 4 years running, the Indian economy was clocking 9%, 9.5%, 9.5%. So therefore, we were able to put in place a counter-cyclical stimulus package. And even when the meltdown happened and the economy of various countries, the growth rate came down to zero or went in to the negative, we still did 6.7% and went back to 9.5% the next year. The reason was because we had saved for a rainy day. But if you constantly mismanage the economy, the demonetization, which has turned out to be the biggest bugbear, a badly implemented GST, now you're holding money back from the states. In fact, the states would be regretting signing on the dotted line on that 1st of July 2017, because essentially, in good faith, they gave their taxing powers, their taxing sovereignty to the central government. And now the central government is playing hooky with that also. Yeah. So essentially, you have a mismanagement of the economy. You have no wiggle room, right? The finance minister will not tell you where the money is coming from, except coming and making those grandiloquent announcements, throwing those bombshells of numbers at people, which have absolutely no meaning.
Well, I take what you're saying, and one can only hope that in the next 2 days, as more news briefings take place, we get some more answers. Mr. Manish Tiwari, I know this is your first time, and thank you so much for that. But we hope that you will join us, again in the future, and we have a lot more conversations as we continue with our special focus on the economy and on our war against coronavirus. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Largely, the focus today was the farm sector, the agricultural sector, and in fact, more than the immediate relief, what the government today focused on was to bring out a set of reforms that would hopefully benefit the farm sector in the longer run. Some of these reforms have been long pending. BJP itself has been speaking about it for the longest time, and they've now finally made these announcements and taken these steps. But let me actually try and simplify it as much as I can, and then we'll have the experts add their views to it. The first thing that the government said today is that they're going to amend the Essential Commodities Act. Now, this is the act that actually essentially regulates all your important food products and commodities and how they should be sold and where and in what amount should they be stocked, and all of that comes under this act. Now, the impact of this amendment should get a better price realization for the farmers and will also lead to some amount of deregulation of the agricultural commodities. The second aspect, the second big announcement that the government made was to say that they're going to come out with a central law Now, this is to do with the APMC Act and the rules and the agricultural marketing setup. Now, again, here what will happen is once this law comes into place, one expects that the farmers will have the freedom to sell their produce as they deem fit. They don't have to necessarily go to the licensed markets, the licensed APMC mandis, and only sell there. This, the government says this will also pave way for interstate sale of produce, and so that trade barrier is being cut and thrown out, and it is likely to again bring in better pricing options for the farmers. And the third thing, which was there in some ways already there, and the government wants to build further on that framework, is for e-trading of agriculture produce, which would lead to direct engagement between the farmers and the retailers, and of course standardize the entire process itself. Now, this is what we've been told will happen because of these announcements. But let's try and understand it a little bit more and say good evening to Mr. Zafar Islam, National Spokesperson for the BJP. Vikas Rawal, he is the Professor for Center for Economic Studies and Planning at JNU. And Mr. Avik Saha, Convener of Jai Kisan Andolan, which is the farmers wing of Swaraj Abhiyan. So let me actually begin with Mr. Avik Saha. We had a bit of a conversation earlier in the evening, Mr. Saha. And I will again, ask you to help us understand these big structural reform announcements that have been made. What do they mean for the farmer on ground?
They mean nothing for the farmer on ground. But let me for a moment pretend that I'm the finance minister. I'm in this COVID lockdown. I can see that there is a grave crisis in the agrarian sector. How would I deal with it? I would chop up my problem into three parts. The first part is the relief. The second part is the restoration. And the third part would be the rejuvenation. What I heard today, Mr. Sitharaman say, was the rejuvenation part. She completely forgot about the relief and the restoration part. More than 1 lakh crore of produce has been lost by the farmers. The Rabi crop was ready. So much of fruits and vegetables have been lost. And she came in today and told us what the future looks like and what the future will be. I'm not saying that these important amendments are not required, but many of them today overstepped. I'll give you one example, the Essential Commodities Act. The finance minister actually said in a press conference to the national media that the farmers are not getting good price because of the Essential Commodities Act. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Essential Commodities Act applies to traders, prevents people from hoarding. It is hoarding that actually brings prices down. So in a sense, she was saying it will be a free-for-all, a free market, demand supply, and that will help farmers. It never has. Then about the direct retailers purchasing. Who are the big retailers? Are you telling me that Walmart will give the farmers a great deal and that's why they will be happy and they will get a proper price? Hasn't Mrs. Sitharaman studied the Walmart model? Wherever in the world they've been there, local businesses have suffered, local producers have suffered. So she's offering poison in the name of remedy. I couldn't understand. She gave 13 items, 2 yesterday and 11 today, with regard to the agrarian sector. In not one of the 13 could I detect any relief which is of immediate need to the farmer who has lost his crop. I just heard about a fairy tale about the future. Okay. And many of these fairy tales, many of the fairy tales have been going on. This is the almost the eighth budget presentation in 6 years. We've heard all of this again and again and again. I'm sorry if I've taken too much time.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Zafar Islam if he wants to respond to that. Mr. Zafar Islam, what about the immediate relief to this sector? They have had a disastrous, crop season. Where's the immediate relief for them?
See, you have to understand that the Honorable Prime Minister has very clearly articulated in his speech on 12th May that he wants to empower the marginalized section of the society, wants to empower the farmers of the of the country. And today was definitely in those contexts, in that perspective, the announcement was made to ensure that the farmer, the long pending reforms in the agriculture sector has been addressed today. So this was something which was outstanding, which was people like Avik Saha must be demanding for ages. And at least this government is receptive to those requests coming from the experts and the farmers that those reforms need to be undertaken. What is the objective of this? Objective is definitely to create a platform where the commitment which we have, the honorable Prime Minister, our government has made to the farmers, that their income will be doubled, and we need to work towards doubling their income. So, in terms of instant support to the farmers, we know that we have been the under Kisan card, the front loading has been done to the extent of 16,000 crore. The cash transfer has been made to the Kisan under Kisan Samman scheme, Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman scheme. So those support has definitely been given to the Kisan and the farmers. But today was the structural reform in agriculture sector, which will ensure a better future for the farmers. And that is something which is being done while being given yesterday's announcement definitely has given them relief. Today's announcement will definitely, with that relief, whatever produce they will have in future, that will give better price, will have better price point, better price recovery for their produce, and something which is important from the farmer's point of view. Maybe if you'll ask a farmer, probably he will be very happy and excited because all the moves which has been made today by the government definitely is lending a lot of comfort to the farming community, because they feel that their interests have never been safeguarded by any government, but this government is definitely sensitive and receptive to their request, and that's why all this structural reform has been undertaken by the government. Let me tell you one thing, which is, for instance, if you talk about the backward integration, forward integration, which government has done in the past? It is our government. You see the budgetary allocation last time for creating cold chain. And today, the 100 crore fund, which actually to create the infrastructure, the backward, both processing unit and cold chain, because that whatever agriculture produce the farmers have, it sometimes you'll find that produce has shelf life only 3-4 days, and then of course it gets perished. So of course we have to create this situation and infrastructure which ensures that they get that at least they can keep it in cold chain, and there is a better price recovery for their produce, and that is something which is being which those concerns have been addressed by today's announcement. And relief has also been given. I'm sure that Mr. Avik has not paid attention to what relief has been announced yesterday.
Mr. Avik Saha, would you want to respond to what Zafar Islam said earlier?
See, people have sat in where just Mr. Islam is sitting and have said the same thing since 2014. I actually made someone research all the previous budgets. And cold chain, the word cold chain, let's just fixate on that, appears, has been allocated for in every budget. I just want to demystify and bring this debate into a very commonsensical platform for Mr. Islam. In April 2016, the Prime Minister announced doubling of the farmers' income. COVID is 50 days old. 2022 is the time by which it is supposed to be doubled. Can you tell us where you are and how you want to double it? What has actually happened, Mr. Islam? Let me tell you. The suggestions contained in the Swaminathan Commission report and in the doubling of farmers' commission's reports have been rehashed again. Everything that was spoken about the fisheries today comes out of the Blue Revolution. Everything that was spoken about the animal husbandry comes from the White Revolution. Sir, you are just presenting old ideas in new packaging. And this will not work because farmers are in serious crisis. I just have one request for you. Out of whatever Mrs. Sitharaman has announced till now, I have counted 13. Tell me one scheme that has given 1 rupee extra to the farmer in addition to what the farmer was already supposed to get before the lockdown started. 1 rupee, 1 scheme. I challenge you to tell the viewers this, and I will accept and admit defeat.
Well, that's a direct challenge to you, Mr. Zafar Islam.
No, there is no challenge or match here, where we need to just have a very constructive dialogue, and that's what we are doing here. Let me respond to Mr. Avik Saha that as far as the government is concerned, as I indicated earlier, that government has two options. One is, of course, direct transfer of monetary benefits to the farmers, which government is doing, and this is the only government which has actually understood the plight of the farmers, and that's why direct transfer is being done to their bank account by this government, and which has also been done now. Then there are also that you have to create infrastructure, you have to facilitate a congenial environment for farmers to operate efficiently, and their productivity must improve. Their income level should improve, and that is something in today's context. If you really want to see that these announcements. Allow me to complete, and then you can question me. Today's announcement definitely
one new
gives
rupee.
them.
It's a simple question.
No, 1 rupee you can't quantify.
1 new rupee. Say. 1 rupee.
Of course,
1 rupee you can't quantify.
No.
One scheme.
Yesterday's announcement. Mr. Saha, yesterday's announcement doesn't address the concern of liquidity for the farmers, isn't it? The front loading of additional amount of 16,000 crore for the farmers is not a small amount. That has been done by the government of India, and this is only between
Mr. Zafar,
March.
Are you going to lie on national television? 1 new rupee.
What is the lie?
One
scheme. That has been announced by the government, and that has been done only between March 25th
Mr.
and
Zafar,
till yesterday.
Mr.
So
Zafar, that money is due to the farmers under a scheme of September 2019. I said 1 new rupee under one scheme announced after 24th March. 1 rupee. 1 rupee.
But that has been given now. Front loading, that additional amount has been provided to the extent of 16,000 crore, which was not due now. That is what I'm saying. That additional liquidity have been given to them.
So are you claiming
to the extent of 16,000?
Are you claiming interest? You are saying that the government has given the money earlier. Therefore, the farmer is going to earn some interest on that money. Is that your 1 rupee?
Farmer has always have liquidity. If you provide some, there are two ways: either direct transfer or where you can create them, and additionally the environment where they can realize better income from their produce. So today you have to see both sides of the coin, where we have provided cash support to the farmer and also created environment where they can get better pricing for their produce, so their income level will improve. Unlike in the past, where even if they produce, they are not able to recover their cost. Today's all the announcement, what does that indicate?
Okay.
That indicates that their produce should get the better realization, price realization, and even to that extent, legislative process or the announcement which has already been made by finance minister, that the committed price will be there for their produce. This is something which is a very, very progressive step and addressing the concern of the farmers. Let me respond to you.
Who is going to give that guarantee?
Have you heard
why they were not getting it?
No, Mr. Saha, have you heard the statement or the press conference of the finance minister? What did she say? She said that we will work out the method and formalize it to ensure they get the price protection or the minimum price for their produce. That will be done in due course, and that is the commitment which has been made by the finance minister. The entire aspect, how it will be done, who will guarantee, is something which has to come out. The details has to come out. But the commitment has been made by the Honorable Finance Minister that as far as the farmers are concerned, their interest will be safeguarded, their interest will be protected. How the method will work, who will guarantee them, how the government will make this work is something which has to come out in public domain once the announcement is made, once the details are out. Right now, you are questioning me that what is the details? Details, the finance minister himself said that they will come out with details soon. So I will not be able to give you any details as long as you must understand that this farmers' interest or the demand that they should get at least a price which takes safeguard their interest in terms of their input cost is there and plus their profit. Something which has been committed by the Honorable Finance Minister that the government will come out soon and formalize the understanding the what she say
Okay,
in a manner
all
that
right.
it's safe.
Well, we'll wait and watch then, because at the end of the day, it's really what happens on ground and how much of benefit goes to the farmer, which really counts. It doesn't matter how many announcements to what a number are being made if the farmer at the end of the day doesn't have any money in his hand to eat now, to for his next season of crops, then it doesn't help at all. But thank you, Zafar Islam, for taking all the questions. Thank you, Mr. Raviq Saha, for breaking it down for us and explaining to us the nuances of these announcements. Unfortunately, we couldn't get through Mr. Vikas Rawal, but here is what it is, viewers. Some of these reforms were long due. The basic has been announced today. The details, of course, will come out later. We need to go through the fine print when the central law gets announced and how it gets implemented. All of that is left. There is a point to be said about the immediate relief to the poor, the immediate relief to the farmer, the immediate relief to the migrant workers who've lost their job and are on their way home. For that, what is it that has been done? Yes, to a certain extent, dry ration has been made available. Yes, the government has said that they're using the direct benefit transfer scheme and they will be transferring money into the accounts of these people. Yes, the government has also said that they will look at stepping up on Manrega and improving the wages there. But only time will tell how much of this is actually benefiting people on ground. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation.